How do we respond to a highly questionable pandemic? What can we do about a failing political system and the increasing threat of anarchy in our country? How do we tap into collective intelligence to find the best answers to South Africans' challenging situation? Part 1 of this video is an invitation to the last few authentic leaders left in South Africa to come and address these questions. We're inviting you to participate in a simulation exercise we're calling Event 911. Part 2 gives a little more context on why we're calling for Event 911. We're inviting concerned South Africans who want to know what they can do during these troubling times. I'm Michael Haupt from Enough ZA. We're a group of South Africans who have had enough of the questionable pandemic narrative. We believe there is a way forward that systemically addresses the pandemic, our political shenanigans, poverty, unemployment, and climate change. I know, that sounds like a ludicrous claim, but hear me out. We all want meaningful and lasting change in South Africa, but to get there, we must understand what we're up against. That means saying a few uncomfortable things that have been left unsaid for too long. To do that, we need context from authentic, courageous leaders who are willing to speak their truth. We need to hear from people who are not afraid of criticism. We need a safe space in which we can come together to explore ideas beyond the collective delusion gripping our world. Our political leaders are anything but leaders. They're merely following orders. So we know that voting and the constitutional process won't achieve anything meaningful. And so we're asking leaders to come together outside of the political system. We call on religious leaders, business leaders, and political leaders who haven't sold out. We call on those who see the agenda for this precious piece of land we all call home. We call on the leaders and thinkers working on alternatives to our broken systems. Our starting point is a recognition that South Africa's real enemy is an external force that wants to steal our land and destroy our people. We ask you to step forward as a fearless, authentic leader and to do what must be done in facing this threat. We offer you our support in reclaiming our nation's true independence from a system we've supported for too long. We stand by any real leader willing to take a stand against this system, and we will not comply with demands from any leader who won't take a stand. We know this will not be easy, but we're not afraid. In fact, we are fearless because we are united by our love for this country. We are South Africans, and we know that anything is possible once we come together around a common purpose. That common purpose is our own Event 201. Event 201 was a simulation of a pandemic held in New York in October 2019. And for the past 2 years, we've now seen how effective simulations are at bringing forth the future. This method is called future truthing. It's about speaking about a desired future state as if it has already happened. It's an unbelievably powerful process, as we've seen. We want to simulate a future that works for all South Africans, and we're calling it Event 911. And that's because our country faces an emergency of epic proportions. Here's the scenario. The South African government has resigned. An interim wisdom council has been established. Under the leadership of a coalition of civil society leaders, our current situation is analyzed. Qualified experts from various fields are called in to carry out an evaluation and provide their testimony. These expert testimonies are live streamed over a period of 3 days. The public are invited to comment and vote on issues directly and in real time. This simulation event will demonstrate how transparent politics and rational decision-making can take place in the interest of the people. We'd like you to be a part of Event 911. Minimum numbers and diversity must be reached before we can confirm a date and venue. We're asking you to express conditional interest at enoughza.org/911. It's completely confidential and nothing will happen until we reach a minimum number of leaders. We want to show the rest of the world that meaningful, lasting change is possible. Every nation on this planet is facing the same enemy, and people everywhere are waking up to this reality. We believe that only South Africa has the courage and the chutzpah to take up this David and Goliath challenge. But we can only do it if authentic South African leaders like you come together. We respectfully ask you to do that today by going to enoughza.org/911. Thank you. Who or what is the real enemy in South Africa? If we want meaningful change, we must understand what we're up against. It's not a pandemic, and it's not the ANC. What did Sun Tzu say about knowing our enemy? If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. So who is our enemy, and what battle are we actually fighting in South Africa? Or rather, who is our sparring partner in the game that's unfolding in this country and globally? Knowing the answer to this question is far more important than any other issue we face. Is our sparring partner Cyril? Or is it Julius? Or Jacob? Or is it a larger group? Is it the ANC? Or all white men? Or all black nations? What if our sparring partner is even bigger than any one group? Could it be an ideology like communism or Marxism or neoliberalism? And if it is an ideology, is there anything we can do about it? As Sun Tzu said, when we know who the enemy is, there is no need for fear. And there's a lot of fear in South Africa. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's mainly because we have no authentic leaders left anymore. Now this is where we get into things that have been left unsaid for too long. Most of our leaders are too scared to state the obvious. But none of what I'm saying will be new to you. Your heart knows everything we're discussing in this video already. But it feels to me as if we all need a head reminder. What do I mean? Well, if we look back in history, there are 5 steps to destabilize and overthrow any country. We've seen it happen again and again. The Ukraine, Syria, Libya, Honduras, Somalia, Haiti, and Iraq. These are recent examples that provide clues of what these 5 steps are. These same steps have led to the overthrow of more than 50 countries since World War II. 4 of the 5 steps have been precisely followed in South Africa ever since 1994. Let's have a look at what they are. The first step is to create inequality and economic suffering. Since 1994, industrial productivity in South Africa has plummeted, which means that unemployment has skyrocketed. In 2020, small businesses were shut down while multinationals could continue operating. This contradiction caused further inequality in an already impoverished country. The uncomfortable conclusion is that the first step in destabilizing South Africa is complete: create economic suffering. The second step then is to create artificial divisions in the country. This division can be race, gender, or religion, depending on the demographics of the target country. South Africa is blessed to enjoy a wide diversity of skin colors, so race would seem to be the obvious place to start to create division. But we know from biologists that diversity makes any living system more resilient. So, for example, the more plant species there are, the healthier the forest is. Soil which has only one plant growing is nowhere near as healthy as soil that supports many different plants. And so our wide variety of skin colors and cultures is our strength, not our weakness. Meanwhile, white-owned companies like the PR firm Bell Pottinger try to foster a race war in this country. We know that the Guptas hired them, but who knows how long they were active before then. They filled our minds with lies or brutality based purely on skin color. Our white-owned media companies have lied to us by amplifying Pottinger's narrative. They try to instill a culture of hate towards each other. But you and I know that South Africans are good and wholesome people. All South Africans. In our heart of hearts, we are not extremists, we're not racists. What the media portrays is not who we are as a nation. We are respectful of others and we are law-abiding. We don't sow division and hatred. We are creative and hardworking. We bounce back when times are tough and we help each other. Above all, we are God-fearing and family-oriented. We love this country and we detest what has been done to it. the rape and pillage of resources in colonial days, the outright daylight robbery of public funds today. We stand united in our disgust. It's not us that has done this to our country, it's an external force. This same force has stoked the artificial divisions portrayed in the international press. So this external force has completed step 2 in their destabilizing of South Africa: create artificial divisions. The third step is to identify, track and remove authentic leaders. These are the intelligent voices from academia, science, religion and other fields beyond politics. We know that intelligent voices have been silenced or vilified by the press. Even worse, some have been assassinated. We also know that sensible, intelligent discourse is being squashed. The healthy debates we used to enjoy as a nation are suppressed. And so we recognize that an external force is dumbing us down. The messy topic of education is best kept for another day, but it's clear that the third step is now firmly in place: silence or remove authentic leaders and critical thinking. The fourth step to destabilize any country is to create and fund fake social movements and opposition parties, and then to put leaders in place that follow orders without question. The current ruling party is full of these fake leaders. Every day we learn about decisions that benefit others and harm South Africans. That doesn't mean the ANC is bad. It means there are bad actors within the ANC, just as there are good actors too. Fake opposition parties supposedly call out these bad actors, but ultimately nothing changes and disunity increases. Parties like the EFF would not exist if they weren't funded by external forces who want to keep the country divided. And so we pity our elected leaders. They probably didn't know what they were getting into. They were tempted by money and power, and now they've lost their ability to lead. All they're capable of today is to follow orders and read scripts written for them by foreign PR companies. There will come a time when these leaders are no longer useful. Then they will be thrown under the bus, one by one. And this will be to make way for the next leaders who are willing to follow the next set of orders. What we have today is all the ingredients necessary for the fifth and final step. And that step is to push the country into anarchy so that a savior can swoop in and save the day. When that happens, we cannot expect decisive action from any of our leaders. We know that they will be following orders just as they have done all along. Like puppets, they have followed the same orders everyone else followed. When they were told to shut down small businesses in 2020, they complied. We also know from history that the fifth and final step is a takeover by an external force. It won't be an internal coup. It won't be a political party with fresh new ideas. That's just not how the system works. An outside force will take over under the guise of the United Nations peacekeeping force. As we know from Rwanda in '94, the blue helmets are anything but peacekeepers. They follow their orders to further create disunity and anarchy. This all makes sense geopolitically. This nation has great mineral wealth. Our strategic location is incredibly valuable. That's why there are so many eyes on this country. South Africa has immense value as the gateway to Africa. And this is especially true as nations in the north start crumbling. We can see from the bungled handling of Afghanistan that the entire Western Empire is weak, disoriented and collapsing. We know from history that all class-based societies collapse in due course. The average age of these societies is 250 years, so it's no surprise then that the American Declaration of Independence was signed almost 250 years ago. July the 4th, 2026 will be a big day for America if their class-based society can be propped up that long. It's clear that the time has come for the US, the UK and their allies to collapse. This eventuality has been a long time coming. The elite class know this. That's why they've had their eyes on Africa for decades. There's something else that we know from 26 collapses over the past 6,000 years. And that is that during the final phase of the collapse, the elite class always tried to grab the last remaining resources. It happened on Easter Island, it happened in Rome in the 5th century, and it happened in Great Zimbabwe in the 15th century. It's a familiar tale of greed, stupidity, and self-destruction. The elite class always think that collapse won't happen this time. But actually, it's the class-based hierarchical system that drives their behavior. They are no smarter than us. They're no more than players in this class-based system. The system is doing the job it was designed to do, to concentrate wealth. And the consequence always is to deplete resources. That's the main reason South Africa will be taken over by an external force if we don't do something. As the West collapses, they will come for our resources. As people who love this country, we are no longer willing to sit back and watch this playbook unfold. We are the people who can change this nation. That's why we're calling on the few remaining authentic leaders in our once great country to come together. We will need religious leaders, business leaders, and political leaders who haven't been corrupted. We need them and us to come together like the imaginal cells of the butterfly contained in the collapsing caterpillar. Only when we come together can we transform. We must overcome the forces that want to stop this process from happening. That's why we're calling for an event 911. We want to create a safe and nurturing space and process for transformation to happen. It cannot happen within our old political and monetary systems. So what is one meaningful thing that we can all do to address South Africa's challenges? The answer is to commit to having butterfly conversations. These are conversations that focus on unity and transcendence. Avoid conversations that focus on separatism. Ignore fear-filled conversations that try to hold on to what is collapsing. The more butterfly conversations we can have, the more we raise the resonance of this country. That's what will save us, inspiring conversations of transformation. So connect with others in your area. You can use our map to find them. Arrange good old-fashioned braais, but ask your guests to commit to having butterfly conversations. Imaginal cells in the collapsing caterpillar feel isolated until they find each other. You can play a role in bringing imaginal cells in South Africa together. One more thing you can do, if it resonates, share this video with people you respect. Ask them if they're an authentic leader. Ask them if they're willing to step up and make a difference. Our strength lies in numbers and diversity, so the more you can reach, the better. Ask your CEO, your pastor, your doctor, your mayor. Share this video in groups you remember of. Don't bother sharing it to social media. You'll be sharing it among caterpillar cells. They are the ones who want to hold on to the familiar, so they'll attack the video. That's exactly the same as what happens inside the caterpillar. The dying cells think the imaginal cells are a virus, and so the caterpillar cells attack the butterfly cells. That's why not every caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Some don't make it. The South African butterfly is trying to emerge, but it needs all of us to find each other and come together. So go out today and have a butterfly conversation. Thanks for hearing me out. I'm Michael Haupt of Enough ZA.